This is Ben Shapiro. I'm sure most people already know that. He completely lost his mind over the Barbie movie, which, by the way, as it turns out, is extremely popular. I have not seen it yet. I intend to soon, but I wanted to watch Ben Shapiro's 43-minute breakdown of the Barbie movie. Really, dude talked about Barbie for 43 minutes. Seriously, he cares entirely too much about this. So anyway, this is not part one. If you haven't seen the other, don't sweat it. This stands independently of the rest. I'll provide context if it's missing. I just wanted to listen to what Ben Shapiro had to say about the Barbie movie. And while we listen to Ben Shapiro talk about Barbie for 43 minutes straight, oh my God, we're going to play some Breath of the Wild too. I'm just kind of running around grinding, so yeah, not anything important. If you haven't played it, don't sweat it. Just be in the background. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, without further ado, let's listen to this dude just lose his mind over Barbie for 43 minutes straight, shall we? You guys voted for this, okay? I put a poll up to ask what you guys wanted to watch. We could have watched Christopher Hitchens debate the Catholic Church. You guys chose 43 minutes of Barbie bashing, so that's what we've got, baby. Career dolls. Okay, we got Barbie Eco Leadership Team 4-doll set, Barbie Relax and Create Art Studio, Barbie Teacher. So we got the Barbie Teacher. We got Barbie Inspire. Wait. Okay, I think it's an Inspiring Women series. So they got like Barbie Amelia Earhart and stuff. Barbie Teacher. Let's see. Barbie Panda Care. Ida B. Wells, Barbie Inspiring Women doll. Barbie Scientist. We've got a scientist playset. We've got Barbie Nurse, Barbie Doctor, Barbie Pop Star, Barbie Gymnast. Got Barbie Biologist, Barbie Winter Sports, Barbie Ultimate Kitchen. I mean, we've got a billion examples of the different things that Barbie is. The point is that women can be anything they want to be. That's the idea here. That's the point. Let's just forget Oreo Barbie. Okay, I don't know Oreo Barbie, but I will forget it for your sake. Anyways, the point is that Barbie is inspiring for everybody and evolves as a character and becomes kind of more intelligent and knowledgeable and aware as the film goes along. That's the whole idea. And Ben Shapiro is like refusing to understand that. Like, the film is basically beating it into his head, and he just can't pick up on it. Like, he can't understand what the point is. Like, this film doesn't make any sense. Oh, my God. Nothing they say or do makes any sense. Maybe you're just dumb as dog shit. You ever consider that possibility, Ben? Now, Ben is not dumb as dog. That just tells me that he wants to pretend to be dumb as dog shit. Now, what reason could Ben Shapiro possibly have for pretending to be dumb as dog shit in front of an audience while he's analyzing a film like this? What reason could he have, I wonder? Just embarrassing and sad, honestly.
So they have 48 hours to stop this vote, which shouldn't be happening in the first place because it makes no plot sense.
It does make plot sense. The point of the entire movie was that democracy is better than dictatorship. But Ben Shapiro, Harvard graduate, just is not intelligent enough to understand that, I suppose. That's okay, Ben. I'll explain it to you if you're too stupid to understand. I get it, Guy who got his GED needs to explain it to a Harvard graduate. That's okay. It happens to the best of us. I'll explain it for you, Ben.
Because the men are fascists and the women are victims. But somehow they've been given 48 hours to stop the vote. So what are they going to do to stop this vote? How are they going to do it? Well, they're going to separate the men and the women.
Barbie!
They're going to turn all the Barbies against the Kens. It's so subtle. The symbolism is so subtle. Turn all the women against the men and you will save society.
Well, I mean, I think that I have not seen this movie, so this is a little bit of a guess, but it seems to me that there was no subtle message here. It was just a joke. They had to like get the Barbies alone in a room and then like communicate with them, basically explain to them what's happening. If there was any subtlety, I would venture to guess that the subtlety is you have to go from person to person on an individual level and deprogram people. You know that back in the 90s, there was a cult deprogramming group that used to operate. It's not legal, it's not ethical, but this is what they used to do. There were actually a number of cult deprogramming groups that did this type of thing back in the day. If you told them that your family member was in a cult, they would kidnap your family member in the middle of the night or whatever. They would go into the cult compound and they'd grab them and take them out to a cabin in the woods and tie them to a chair and force them to sit there and listen as they forcefully deprogram them, i.e., explain the bad things that the leader has done, explain what's incorrect about the cult and the misunderstandings and misapplications of teachings and stuff like that. They would force them to sit there and listen because cult members are taught to shut their brains off when they hear critical stuff and get out of that environment. Stephen Hassan, the guy who wrote the bite model originally, I'm not really a fan of his at all, but that's a story for a different day. Stephen Hassan was in the Moonies, it was called originally. It's called the Grand Unification Church, actually. And he was a member of the Grand Unification Church, or the Moonies, all the way up until, he grew up in a Jewish household. He was Jewish, his family and his parents were Jewish. He was in the Grand Unification Church until he got in a car accident, and he was in the hospital, and his parents and a cult deprogrammer walked into the room. He couldn't walk, he needed crutches. The cult deprogrammer grabbed the crutches and moved them to the other side of the room, so he could not escape. He had to sit there and listen. He had no choice. And he couldn't even get up because he was, his legs didn't work at the moment. He was still healing, and he had no crutches. So he had to sit there and listen to this cult deprogrammer. That's how they used to do things back in the day. Now, is the Barbie movie calling or shouting out to that? I doubt it. Probably not that complex. It's probably just making a point that you have to go person to person to explain to people when something is wrong, when their thinking is wrong, when, they're incorrect about something and they've been brainwashed by somebody. You have to go person to person. That's a requirement. There's just no way to do it otherwise. You can't mass deprogram people. Well, you can, but it involves a violation of their human rights. You know how you mass deprogram people? They did it in after World War II. They mass deprogrammed Germany. And there were two different strategies for it. There was the East Side strategy and the West Side strategy. The Western world, so America controlled Western Germany, and we had our own denazification efforts. And Eastern Germany was controlled by Russia or the USSR, and they had their own denazification strategies. Now, unfortunately, Stalin was just as bad as Hitler in his own ways. He just, he didn't have worldwide ambitions, seemingly. So we had to work with Stalin to get through what we needed to get through to prevent, Germany from taking over the world. Anyways, the denazification effort by the West was basically banning any Nazi symbolism, banning any talk of, like anti-Semitism, banning it completely. Again, a violation of human rights. Like, people have a right to express themselves. But this is how you deprogram on a mass scale. That's how it's done. You have to remove people's human rights. That's why we can't do it here in America. We have to respect people's human rights. They also jail the leaders of the opposition party or the opposition organizations or whatever. People are free to believe anything they want and free to be the member of any organization that they want to be a member of or whatever. We can't stop that. That is anti-human rights. But if you did want to deprogram people on a mass scale, like prevent them from like believing in Trump anymore or whatever else, we need look no further than Germany in 1948 or so to understand how it's done. We know exactly how to do this on a mass scale. So anyway, yeah, I don't think that the Barbie movie was getting that deep with it. It was almost certainly just, you know, a funny little thing that they were talking about there. That's my guess. I don't know. But Ben is going to read into it and pretend that, you know, the men are the victims and the women are the perpetrators and all that other shit that Ben believes, apparently.
It's so subtle. The symbolism is so subtle. Turn all the women against the men and you will save society.
That was not the point or the symbolism. That's nonsense.
That's the message that you could be shoveling directly into the brain of your 8-year-old girl if you so.
Again, 8-year-olds should not be watching this film unless they're with a parent. This is not intended for 8-year-olds. It's a PG-13 film. It's for 13 and up, at least. But okay.
Society. That's the message that you could be shoveling directly into the brain of your 8-year-old girl if you so choose this weekend.
Maximum volume.
So, they literally say this: get the Barbies away from their Kens.
Feminist propaganda. Wow.
How are they going to achieve this? Well, they're going to make the men complacent and then take their power. This is how women have achieved power. Now, let me just...
This is how women have achieved power? Make men complacent and then steal their power? Is that what he just said? What the hell is this dude talking about right now? This is nonsense.
Digress briefly here in how women
Please digress.
actually achieved power in Western civilization. The answer is that they lobbied men and men gave it to them.
Well, that's true, I suppose, to some degree. Just like the way that members of the black community gained positions of power or regained their position in society or whatever, or gained the position that they deserved all along. White people had to give it to them. But black people should not be, quote-unquote, grateful to... Black people should not be, quote-unquote, grateful to white people for giving them these positions, the way that Ben is kind of implying women should be grateful to men. They deserved it all along. They were setting things right. They weren't granting a privilege to women or to black people or whatever. They were making it right. There is a distinct difference. I guess that subtlety is lost on Ben. It's not even that subtle.
That is the actual answer as to how women achieve power in Western civilization. The amendment to the Constitution that allowed women to vote was passed solely by men because women couldn't vote.
Yeah, and the amendment that abolished slavery was also passed by white people. So is he saying that black people should be grateful to white people because white people gave them the right to vote when they didn't have to, or some other thing? Is that what he's saying? I mean, I'm just trying to understand here. Is that the point? Like, what an absolutely disgusting way to view things. Seriously. What is wrong with this dude?
It turns out there are a lot of good-hearted men out there who like women and who want women to be able to live lives that they want. It turns out that many of us are husbands and fathers. Many of us have daughters. Many of us love the people we're married to. It turns out that that actually describes a huge number of Western men, that we are not your enemies. And yet the entire premise of the movie is that what actually happened in the feminist movement is that women seized the power.
Oh, yes, it was women fighting for it. You think men would have given over power if women didn't fight for it? They absolutely did. So I guess he's saying that women just kind of sat back and let whatever happened, or whatever was going to happen, happen. And it was really just men that wanted women to have that power, and that's why they gave it to them, right? Is that what he's saying? This is absurd. Really. Give me a break.
Away from the men. I'm sorry to break it to you, ladies. It ain't true. It ain't true. This notion that women vote as a block is not true. Married women vote very much like their husbands, actually.
I don't know about that. I mean, yeah, a lot of the time, and that's because men and women tend to find partners that are similar to them, that have similar ideas to them. That's not because women are obeying their husbands or some other nonsense like that. Yeah, my wife and I vote basically exactly the same. We are exactly the same all the way down the line because I sought out somebody who had similar ideas to me. That's why. But if you actually look at, I mean, I hear these complaints from Republicans all the time.
Single women vote.
Sorry. I hear these complaints from Republicans all the time. I can't believe that Ben is not shouting out to this or that he's completely ignoring it. Here's what the electoral map would look like if only women voted. As you can see, Alaska would be blue. There are a lot more blue areas in here than there are otherwise, with men and women voting. 275 projected Democratic districts and 160 projected Republican districts. And here's if only men voted. 186 projected Democratic districts versus 249 projected Republican districts. So 275 Democratic districts versus 186 Democratic districts if it were men. Men, on the other hand, this is on 538.com, by the by. I think it's a really, really good website. Can be really valuable in its analysis from time to time. I don't know about the guy that started it, Nate Silver. He's kind of weird, but the website is good anyways. Men, on the other hand, were about 11 points more Republican than the country, and as such, they would elect a 249 to 186 Republican majority. But notice that the Republican seat total that men would secure is lower than the 275-seat Democratic majority that women would elect. This isn't because men have shifted to the left, but because the overall national environment is Democratic-leaning. If it were a Republican-leaning environment, like in 2010, women might elect a more closely divided House, but men would likely elect an even larger GOP majority. So anyway, there's the analysis, basically. Women largely vote blue. Far more than men. Like, far more. That's used as a basis for removing women's right to vote. Or usually they don't specifically say, I mean, Republicans, usually they don't just come out and say, we want to take women's right to vote away. They'll say, we want votes to be cast for a whole family. One family should get one vote rather than one person. That's the subtle way that anti-democratic people are trying to remove the vote from women. Because saying women shouldn't be allowed to vote is not very politically advantageous or popular right now. I mean, they're half of the party. I'm sorry. I mean, they're half of the, oh my God. I mean, they're half the population. On the other hand, I suppose there are some women who don't believe that women should be voting at all, and they'll just come out and say that. Lauren Witzke talking to Elijah Schaffer. Used to work for the Blaze TV network, no longer works for the Blaze. He got fired recently for sexual harassment. Glenn Beck started the Blaze, I believe. Imagine what you have to do to get fired from the Blaze, from Glenn Beck's network, for sexual harassment. Just imagine what he must have done. Anyway, on the left is Lauren Witzke.
And in regards...
Lauren Witzke, by the by, she ran for Congress, for Senate, I think, in 2020 and lost. She's still involved in politics, though, and still fighting hard for it.
And in regards to women voting, that was the worst thing that ever.
Okay, it's regarding women voting. If it's a single thing that you're referring to, voting, it's regarding. If it's multiple things you're referring to, it's in regards to or with regards to. God, it's so annoying sometimes that people suck so much. Okay, sorry.
Happened to America too. Look at us now. Women overwhelmingly vote on their emotions. and their emotions. And the liberals are very good at appealing to emotions. Oh, look at these migrant children. They have nowhere to go. Look at this pregnant migrant woman. She has nowhere to go. We have got to open up our borders and give her cash assistance for the rest of her life here.
Okay, that is not happening. Nobody has ever argued for that. This is a completely fabricated issue. And what she's doing right now is literally appealing to emotion. She is actually appealing to emotion. She's appealing to fear. She is making people afraid and making them think that all of their money is going to go to some migrant worker or some other nonsense. Completely fabricated. This is a non-existent, fabricated issue. As she complains about something, she is literally doing that thing. Does it get more absurd?
America. And women vote for that. They vote to have weapons taken away, our Second Amendment rights taken away. Women used to vote. They used to not vote because their husband would make the choice for them. Now, if just our husbands and landowners were voting, we'd be in a much better place than we are now.
See, this is how it's done. Usually, to take voting rights away from women, typically people who are arguing for this stuff will frame it up like only landowners should, just like the way the founding fathers wanted, only landowners should be able to vote.
Have closed borders. We'd have no infringements on our Second Amendment rights. Red flag laws would be a thing of the past. And we as women wouldn't be, have such authority and power over who gets into elected office because we don't deserve it. The way that women vote, it's been terrible. I'm apologizing as a female voter for the rest of my fellow female voters because they are voting our country away, and it is extremely dangerous.
So anyway, yeah, that's Lauren Witzke. So the point here is that there are some Republican women out there who are trying desperately to take women's right away to vote. This is a thing that's happening. And again, she's like a Trump nutter butter who almost won in 2020, almost took the seat, but didn't. It's not very common, but from time to time it does happen, especially on the Republican side. It happens a lot on the Republican side, a lot more than it should at the very least. Women are arguing to, people are arguing to take women's right to vote away. And not just men, but women are arguing for that as well. Insane.
And in regards to women...
Oh, sorry. I can't believe that Ben didn't shout out to that. All right, let's keep listening here.
Break it to you, ladies. It ain't true. It ain't true. This notion that women vote as a block is not true. Married women...
I mean, again, they don't vote as a block, but yeah, they are a voting block in their own right. They should be appealed to by different candidates and stuff because they do hold some sway.
Women vote very much like their husbands, actually. Single women vote more like a block now than they did before. But it turns out that people are individuals, and some women vote one way and some men vote another way. And this...
Yeah, but guess what? We have data. We can look at data and understand that statistically, this group is more likely to vote for this thing and blah, blah, blah. Like evangelical Christians are more likely to vote for Donald Trump than for Joe Biden. You know how we know that? Data. How about that? We get data. We just look at it, and it tells us exactly what we need to know. Are you really unaware of this, Ben? He cannot possibly be this stupid. Right? He is pretending to be stupid here, isn't he?
But, again...
Harvard graduate Ben must be pretending to be stupid.
People are individuals, and some women vote one way and some men vote another way. And this... But, again, the idea here is very simplistic. Men versus women. Battle royale. And that's what this literally turns into, a battle royale between the women and the men. But really, it's about getting the men to fight each other. They bring all the Barbies one by one. They distract them. They bring the Barbies in one by one, and they unbrainwash them. How do they unbrainwash them? Well, they tell them truths like, any power you have must be masked under a giggle. I have a question.
Okay, I don't understand what that means. I feel like he's taking it out of context, but I will tell you this. I have employed this strategy since I was young of making it so that people underestimate me. I want to be underestimated. I don't want people to be aware of how intelligent or how capable or strong or whatever I am. And this is a strategy that Boris Johnson, ex-Prime Minister of the UK, employed too. I named this video in my records here. Boris Johnson struggles valiantly with an umbrella. This was in 2021, July 28th, 2021. Check it out. He struggled to control his umbrella at a meeting. Oops, sorry. Let me just clamp it and listen here.
Any moment now we'll be celebrating with the fly past of the National Police Air Service, so we'll just wait a moment on them.
So he's Boris Johnson sitting here next to Prince Charles at the time, now King Charles. He opens it. He offers it to the woman behind him. That's super nice of him. She says, no, I'm okay. Oh, it closed. And now I'm going to push it up too far. Oh, look at that. I'm so dumb. I cannot believe I pushed this umbrella too high. Oh, now I got to fix it. I'm so dumb. And everyone's laughing at him because he's an idiot and he's a goof. He's so stupid. Boris Johnson is not stupid. How many languages does Boris Johnson speak? I think that it's a mystery how many he speaks exactly, but when the war between Russia and Ukraine started, he came out and spoke to the Russian people flawlessly. It was flawless. Not an accent to be found, apparently, from what I've heard. And nobody had any idea that this dude was that good at speaking Russian. Holy shit! Boris Johnson's not an idiot. He's a right-wing nutcase, and he's an asshole, and he has some absolutely terrible ideas for society. And I don't want him anywhere near a position of power, but he's not an idiot. You know why Boris Johnson looks disheveled all the time and does that stupid stuff? Because he wants you to think that he's stupid. He wants you to underestimate him. I do the exact same thing.
Any power you have must be masked under a giggle.
I assume when Ben Shapiro says that, or when he quotes the movie or whatever, that's what they were talking about. Don't reveal your power that you might have. Don't come out and play your hand or act like an alpha male. Really, how stupid do you have to be, like Andrew Tate, for example, to act like an alpha male? To act like you are more powerful than you actually are. That's basically what it is, right? Acting like an alpha male is essentially acting more powerful than you are to scare people away. I act less powerful than I am. And I say you're an idiot for acting otherwise. Anyways.
I have a question. I mean, I work with a lot of women. Do they feel like the power that they have has to be masked under a giggle? Was this film?
I mean, I certainly feel like the power that I have needs to be masked. Yes, I mean, that seems like the intelligent way to go. I mean, gives you a card to hold, right?
Written in 1943. Who wrote this film? Well, we know who wrote this film. A feminist writer who gets paid millions of dollars to make horse. One of them says, we have to reject men's advances without damaging their ego. Or theoretically, you could just reject men's advances and damage their ego because what do you care? You have to pretend.
Really? Ben Shapiro is saying you shouldn't care about men's egos or feelings or anything like that? What the hell is happening right now? I thought Ben Shapiro was like a, what do you call it? Like a meninist or something. Like not a feminist, but a meninist. I don't know, MGTOW or whatever the hell. I don't have any clue.
To be confused about money. Is this a real thing? Like, do women pretend to
Sorry, let me step back here.
advances without damaging their ego? Or theoretically, you could just reject men's advances and damage their ego because what do you care? You have to pretend to be confused about money. Is this a real thing? Like, do women pretend to be
Yeah, I mean, this is a real thing. I don't do this, obviously, with my wife. My wife knows exactly how intelligent I am and exactly how strong and powerful in various different ways that I am. But strangers, usually, I mean, I don't mask anything on my channel either, but strangers, if they meet me and they don't know me previously, they have no clue. Like, I leave them in the dark completely. Because why would I, like, try to, like, one-up people? Why would I act strong? Why would I act like an alpha and try to dominate a situation? That's stupid. If I need to take control in a situation, I will. And the people around me will maybe not see it coming. Not that, you know, that's necessary or not, but if there's a disaster, I am a born leader. If there's a disaster that takes place, a plane crash, or we're in some kind of, I don't know, survival situation or something, I can take control of the situation and help people and direct, delegate, figure out what happens next, act calmly and rationally under extremely stressful situations. That's what I do. That is my strength. Nobody needs to know that until the moment comes. That's how I operate. And to exude the idea that you are like the smartest person in the room and the strongest person in the room, it's just embarrassing. Don't do it. It's painfully embarrassing for you to do. And everybody knows that you're playing it up.
Confused about money, so the men will explain it to them. That this is also it's such claptrap. And then
such claptrap. I've never heard that word before. What does that mean?
My very favorite. Do you want some pants? Because that's really what this is about. Is women really, really want to wear pants? That demonstrates the power of the patriarchy is that men really don't want women to wear pants, and women really, really want to wear pants.
Love your leg warmers.
Nice ass cut.
And then it's, you know, all
that was from Toy Story. I don't know why they're showing Toy Story stuff, but okay.
the men being victimized, all the Kens being victimized by these various tactics, up to and including Ryan Gosling hitting on a trans woman, meaning a dude who has a voice deeper than Ryan Gosling's, which is an actual scene.
Okay, I have no idea what this is, and I feel like Ben Shapiro is being extremely transphobic here. I have no clue. Not until I see the movie myself, but transphobia seems to be like Ben Shapiro's kind of default. So what I've come to expect from him, I'd be surprised if this wasn't just a shout out to trans hatred
In the film, which is just great. Okay, so then, final step. Finally, the women have been disabused. So now they're going to play the ultimate prank. The ultimate prank is that they are going to turn the men against each other. How are they going to turn the men against each other? They're going to turn the men against each other by switching partners. They're going to get together, and Barbie is going to be with Ken, classic Barbie and classic Ken. They're going to be together, but then they're going to move on to the other Kens, and the Kens are going to start fighting each other over the ladies because they're going to switch over. Now, not to put too fine.
Okay, let me try to, I'm going to reverse a little because I don't think I fully understand what he's saying here.
And get together, and Barbie is going to be with Ken, classic Barbie and classic Ken. They're going to be together, but then they're going to move on to the other Kens, and the Kens are going to start fighting each other over the ladies because they're going to switch over. Now, not to put too fine a point on this, but this makes no sense at all, because guess what would happen if a bunch of beautiful women decided to switch to.
Okay, so they're basically saying, I think, women should use their beauty, the beauty that they have, or basically any resource that they have, and beauty is viewed as a resource, I guess. Any resource that they have to try to further their own goals and make themselves more equal, and never, ever, ever show how strong you really are. That's the message that I'm picking up from what Ben is saying, and that's the way I've always lived my life.
To other men simultaneously. You know what the men would do? They would throw a party. So they turn the men against each other.
I'm sorry, let's step back here.
Because guess what would happen if a bunch of beautiful women decided to switch to other men simultaneously? You know what the men would do? They would throw a party.
Yeah, I don't understand the context of this. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just like, missing it, but yeah, okay.
So they turn the men against each other. And then we get a 20-minute long segment of the Kens fighting each other using various implements ranging from like small bows and arrows with sticky cups at the end to tennis rackets. And that turns into a musical number. What does any of this have to do with the plot? Nothing. Literally nothing. It is just a 15-minute digression because they wanted to insert a crappy musical number with not particularly good dancing.
Okay, I simply disagree. I think the movie speaks for itself. It seems like the choreography and the music and everything was on point. But okay. It's like he's complaining about literally everything. Like, get over yourself, man.
And then what are the women doing during this time? The women are voting. The women are voting. So now we know the Democratic turnout strategy. The Democratic turnout strategy in 2024 is going to be to get all of the Republicans to fight with one another using tennis rackets while they go and they do the voting, apparently.
He's reading into this. It was not necessarily... Like, he's pretending that the men of the world are all Republicans and the women of the world are all Democrats. And, you know, it was like... what do you call it? It was like... an analogy that was trying to be drawn out with the Barbie movie. No, maybe it was just a funny movie. You ever consider that one? Maybe you're just reading into this situation entirely too much. Apparently never crossed his mind.
So they go and they vote. After they vote, they reestablish exactly basically how it was, the matriarchy. The matriarchy is reestablished. And
yeah, I don't know if that's true or what, but the vast majority of the black community wants equality, not superiority. The vast majority of women want equality, not superiority. Vast majority of every minority group and demographic just wants to be equal. That's simple.
Ken, who is now really sad because he's lost his power, and all he wanted in the first place was just to be treated decently by Barbie. Is he treated decently at the end by Barbie? Of course he isn't. That would be silly. At the very end, he is told that he needs to learn to live without Barbie.
I just don't know who I am without you.
You're 10.
But it's Barbie and Ken. There is no just Ken.
He, who was literally created as a doll to be with Barbie, he needs to learn to be apart from Barbie, and she needs to learn to be apart from him because...
That's good, actually. Yeah, it seems like they're talking about codependence here. Codependence is not good. If you can't go a couple of days without your significant other, that's probably an issue. I mean, it's not going to be pleasant. I'm not going to like that, but it's not like if you are just too... If it's too much to imagine, if you don't know what you do with yourself, you might be codependent, and that could be an issue that you need to resolve.
Atomistic isolation and loneliness is the best way to find fulfillment, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be best for Ken if he never sees Barbie again. It'll be better for Barbie if she never sees Ken again. Secular humanism is at its finest. We've reached the apotheosis. Men and...
Secular humanism at its finest? What? I'm sorry. Say that again. Hang on. Let me just step back. Listen to this again. He's trashing secular humanism?
Is the best...
i.e. atheism. That's what he means when he says that.
...way to find fulfillment, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be best for Ken if he never sees Barbie again. It'll be better for Barbie if she never sees Ken again.
That's not the message, it seems to me.
Secular humanism is at its finest. We've reached the apotheosis. Men and women don't belong together. They belong very, very much apart.
Okay, wow. If you're an atheist, then by necessity, you believe that men and women should be separate. We should live in a separatist state where women control everything and men stay away from women, apparently. What? What the hell are you talking about, Ben? This is complete nonsense. It's nonsense.
This is all topped off by Issa Rae calling somebody a motherfucker. Again, perfect for your 7-year-old girl who loves Barbie.
Again, this isn't intended for 7-year-olds. It's intended for... It's PG-13. So, 13 and up. It's intended for women, commonly, say, over the age of 15, probably. Maybe between the ages of 25 and 55, or even older, who had Barbies when they were little. That's who it's intended for, actually. But okay.
Just perfect for her. And so we learn that men and women are supposed to be separate. They are not supposed to be together. and that maybe the matriarchy will allow the men not to be on the Supreme Court of Barbie Land, but maybe they can get some lower circuit court judgeships. This is what we learned.
This is just absurd. This is not the message of the movie at all.
And we learn one day the Kens might have as much power and influence in Barbie world as women have in the real world. Because, of course, women are again, just absolutely subjugated in the real world. You think that?
Well, yeah, I mean, in large part, women are subjugated in the real world. They do not have as many positions of power. They are treated worse. They fear for their safety more often. I mean, he really doesn't understand this at all? Really?
That's the end of the movie. Wrong. This thing has more endings than Lord of the Rings. So, ending number 1 is we find out that Ken is going to live apart from Barbie, and he's going to find himself in being Ken. Ugh, the utter joy of self-exploration. Next, we get an ending in which the CEO of Mattel, who's been completely sidelined. You remember the CEO of Mattel? Remember he was supposed to be chasing them into Barbie Land for no apparent reason? So he's now in Barbie Land. We don't know why he's there or what he's there to do, except that we need Will Ferrell in the movie to provide no laughs. He doesn't provide any laughs. So he
wow, he hates Will Ferrell, apparently. Like, come on, man. This guy is so pissed off about everything. Like, get over yourself. I understand some people don't like Will Ferrell, and some people do like Will Ferrell. That's okay. You don't have to like him or love him or anything.
He shows up. His motivation throughout this movie has been completely inconsistent. He started off wanting to put Barbie back in Barbie Land so that they could make money. And then he is told at one point that when Kens have taken over Kendom, they will make just as much money. He's like, no, that cannot be. I'm an ideologue on behalf of women. And then he arrives, and he is told that America Ferrera wants to make ordinary Barbie, which, by the way, would sell 0. Anyway, that will be profitable. And so now he wants to make ordinary.
Wait, I'm sorry. I don't fully... is he saying... Let me step back. Listen again. What will make 0?
Over Kendom, they will make just as much money. He's like, no, that cannot be. I'm an ideologue on behalf of women. And then he arrives, and he is told that America Ferrera wants to make ordinary Barbie, which, by the way, would sell 0. Anyway.
Dude, I love that sound effect that he did. That's really cool. Ordinary Barbie would make 0? I mean, no, it wouldn't make 0. It would certainly make something. Would it make less than Astronaut Barbie? Probably, because Astronaut Barbie is fucking metal. Why does he care if they have ordinary Barbie or what? Like, why does he care about any of this? It's like he's so emotionally invested in the stupidest shit. Ben Shapiro is. It's insane.
That will be profitable. And so now he wants to make ordinary Barbie because he's back to being uber capitalist, evil capitalist. He's making money off of Barbie because, again, Mattel are the bad guys, but they're also the good guys. But they're kind of the bad guys, but they're mostly the good, but they're a little bad. And so that's ending number 2 at this point. So we have the Barbie Ken ending. We have the...
No, I mean, they're tying up loose ends. That's what they're doing. It's not like they have like 16 different endings. They just have different threads that they had to follow up on. So they were giving us conclusions. It's not like there are 16 different endings.
The CEO of Mattel ending, where he says, we'll make ordinary Barbie, and then girls all over the world will know that ordinariness is fine and okay. Because it's not that girls play with Barbie because they think that she's beautiful and it's aspirational. No, it's bad. Okay, so then we have ending number 3. You think you're done? Wrong. We're now 2 hours deep into this piece of shit. And we have now dug halfway to China, and we are going to keep digging. So we have ending number 3. Rhea Perlman shows up to lecture us all.
I don't know who Rhea Perlman is.
About the patriarchy again. You haven't heard it enough. We got to beat this sucker into the ground. We are going to take an axe, the blunt end of the axe, and we're just going to beat this thing to death.
Well, I mean, I don't know if... I mean, obviously Ben doesn't accept this as the fact that it is, but there is a patriarchy. There is such a thing as a patriarchy. It does exist, and it is part of the United States system. Whether you like that or not, for better or worse, it exists.
I'm just going to beat it to death. So, Rhea Perlman shows up because Barbie, it turns out, she spent too much time in the real world. That was the patriarchy and was terrible. So terrible that she wanted to stop it from happening in Barbie Land. But now she wants to go back there because she actually learned some feelings over in the real world. So she decides that after all, this whole story was just Pinocchio, that she just wants to be a real boy. And in what can only be termed a sort of bait and switch, at the very end of the film, just to please the core audience, which is moms and daughters, they insert a bunch of footage, I kid you not, like home video footage of moms and daughters playing. That's what it is. Like people living their lives.
Like people playing with Barbies, I assume, because that's what this movie's about?
Of moms and daughters playing. That's what it is. Like people living their lives in female ways. Because Rhea Perlman is going to show Barbie what it's like to be a human, and then Barbie is going to say that she really wants to be a human just like you, just like you. And so they hit you with the nostalgia play. At the very end, the whole movie, which should have been nostalgia and about moms and daughters, instead, the entire movie is not that. The entire movie is instead about how men are evil and terrible. And also Mattel is evil and terrible. And then at the very end, they shove in this little nostalgia play in the hope that they can buy back the audience at the very end of the film. And Barbie decides that she...
Okay, I did not get the I don't know, message that men are evil from this. I didn't pick that up at all from what Ben showed. It was just a fun little movie. That's it. And it sounded really, really funny, actually.
She is going to be a real woman now. Now, when she goes... That's ending number 3. There's still one more. So...
No, it's not ending number 3. It's just tying up the loose threads to the, to the story that was created. Not different endings, Ben. You know that. You attempted to be a scriptwriter and failed miserably. You, at the very least, know how scripts are written.
When that happens, when she goes to when she goes into this white area that's supposed to be heaven, because the person who she's talking, Rhea Perlman, is actually the person who actually created the doll. And we're supposed to be, this was supposed to be a secret, because the Mattel was run by men, but the big secret all along is that a woman created the doll. News. It's not a secret. She was CEO of the company for 30 years. CEO of Mattel for 30 years, from like 1945 to 1975, until the IRS caught her for tax evasion or something. The big...
Okay, I have no idea what he's talking about, and I really don't care.
Big reveal that the patriarchy said that it created Barbie, it didn't. No one thought the patriarchy created Barbie. Again, don't bother with the facts. Don't bother with sense. Don't bother with chronology. Don't bother. None of it matters. So Barbie is now sent back to the real world. And she is now going to experience the apotheosis of what it means to be a human woman. So we've learned early on in the movie, when she goes to the real world, she's catcalled by a bunch of the construction guys. And she says, I don't have a... Right? She, again, amazing line for your 7-year-old girl. She'll love it.
It's not intended for 7-year-olds. Are you kidding me? This movie is intended for adults. That's what it's all about.
So apparently, when she is turned into a real woman, she has now grown of a... So...
Oh my God, dude.
The first thing that she does is she goes to the gynecologist, because, ladies, the apotheosis of your being is not motherhood. We got rid of that at the very beginning. And it's not being a wife or a partner, because women are supposed to be apart from men. It is your...
I don't know what the hell he's talking about or why he's going on about it, but please move on, Ben. This is painful.
It is that you go to the gynecologist. Ladies, this is what makes you the most human you can be, is that you go to the gynecologist. Now, I could point out here that that's really transphobic. That according to the same people who made this...
No, it's not transphobic, because it was just a little joke, okay? Or it wasn't even a joke. It was just part of the storyline. It was not an intentional transphobic anything. Seriously, it's like he's reading into these situations and pretending to be somebody to the left and thinking how somebody to the left would think, when nobody on the left thinks like that. Like, holy shit, dude, move on with your life.
This movie, not all women have the job, and not all people with penis are men. I could point that out right here.
Oh my God, dude, please just move on.
Because it obviously conflicts with the very ending of the film. But instead, I'm going to go with this one. At the end of all of this, they've boiled down. They have a whole conversation about identity and death and meaning. Right? This whole conversation. What does it boil down to at the very end? What it boils down to at the very end, apparently, is being biologically female is the only thing that matters. And that's it, kind of. That's
okay, that is not what my understanding of the movie was at all. That was not how I read anything that I've heard so far. That sounds like complete nonsense to me. But again, I haven't seen it. Somebody who has seen it, Kem Panda, basically at the very end, human Barbie goes to the doctor and says, I'm here to see the gynecologist, with a big smile, which of course Ben hates because he hates, women, basically, to put it simply. Or he's just really, really, really bad at liking or loving them, if you will. Anyways, just trying to use, word, because I'm going to have to censor all of this out, so. Today I learned self-care and women's health is transphobic. Thanks, Ben. Yeah. Just ridiculous on every level, honestly. This guy seriously has problems. You guys remember when he did that whole video about wet-ass P words, as he said? WAP, that song by, who was it? Cardi B that sang it? I don't remember. Oh, my God. It's so stupid, it's painful.
That's it. Like, it all just boils down to a lady at the gynecologist. That's female power. Female power is Barbie goes to gynecologist, which I don't know about you ladies, but that seems like that's not like the most feminist message.
No, it's not like, it doesn't seem like the message of the entire movie at all. It seems to me like you're reading into it and finding a reason for people on the left to hate it when people on the left simply did not hate it. In fact, the majority of America didn't hate it. It's like Ben Shapiro seems to be the only one that hated it.
That lady parts are the entirety of the lady. So excellent.
That was not the message.
Excellent job. And with that, we end the film, and then we have the glossy, credits with a Nicki Minaj song, a Nicki Minaj version of "I'm a Barbie Girl in a Barbie World." This movie.
Oh my God, I'm so disappointed in this movie. Actually, in all seriousness, so disappointed that they didn't play the song from the 90s or the 2000s. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. You guys remember that song? You can touch my hair. Something. I don't remember what the words are now. Anyways, I can't believe they didn't play that. That's like super disappointing to me. And what the hell? Why is this not... This is supposed to... Did I not finish something I was supposed to finish? It's supposed to... Oh, yeah. I'm supposed to turn on the things. Okay. That makes more sense. I didn't understand why the things weren't lighting up. Anyway. Love your content. For chat, I made it to work. Oh, that's good news. Thank you. Glad you like my stuff. I appreciate it. Enemy Girl 19. Hey, you. Thank you for the sticker. Appreciate it. Blue Wings. Greetings from Norway. Love and follow all your channels. Well, that's awesome. Glad you like it. Appreciate that. Just checking. Emily Neptune. God and Atheist. Okay, I read that earlier. God and Atheist baby with Owen. Absolutely. All right, let's continue here.
The movie started off as Barbie, and it was Weird Barbie. It was the toy that was handed off to Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig, and they played with it too hard. They decided that they were going to turn it inside out. They're going to rip off the hair. They were going to shave it. They were going to make it ugly. They were going to put all sorts of makeup on it, and then they were going to throw it out in the public.
Yeah, so that was the Weird Barbie that everybody talked about. You know, everybody went to for advice because she'd seen some shit, basically.
Now, those of us who are on the right, we look at the politics of this movie, we're like, man, so it sounds like a double sandwich. It doesn't sound like a Big Mac. It sounds like a double Big Mac, right? It sounds like the plot.
Wait, the lyrics kind of aged like milk. Is that true for the Aqua song, Barbie Girl? Let's look up the lyrics. I don't remember the lyrics. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Ken. You want to go for a ride? Sure, Ken. Jump in. I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world. Life is plastic. It's fantastic. You can brush my hair, undress me everywhere. Okay, that's a little rough. Imagination. Life is your creation. Come on, Barbie. Let's go party. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Life is plastic. It's fantastic. I'm a blonde bimbo girl in a fantasy world. Dress me up. Make it tight. I'm your dolly. Wow. Okay, you're right. Maybe this didn't age well. You're my doll, rock and roll, feel the glamour in pink, kiss me here, touch me there, hanky panky. Wow, yeah, this didn't age well at all. Wow, okay. Yeah, you're right. Maybe they shouldn't have played that in retrospect, but anyways. Okay, let's keep listening.
The plot is crap, and the characters are crap, and the humor is crap, and then on top of that, the politics are crap, but
Yeah, I don't think any of that is true. I get the impression that it was actually a very funny movie. But, okay.
You're missing the point. There's a reason this film has 91% on Rotten Tomatoes.
And it's a conspiracy. He already said this in part 1 if you missed it. It's a big conspiracy. The liberals all got their friends together to blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yep. It's totally a conspiracy, Ben.
And the reason is, if you are on the left, you can make one of the world's most boring, crappy comedies. You can waste an extraordinary amount of money and talent. You can waste some of the great IP ever created. But as long as you slather it in a bunch of warmed-over glorious Steinem nonsense, the critics will just say...
Gloria Steinem, if you're unaware, is famously a feminist, I believe.
You slather it in a bunch of warmed-over Gloria Steinem nonsense, the critics will just salivate over you. They'll pretend that this is an actual good movie. So here's my prediction.
No, I got the impression it was actually a good movie.
In terms of market. The marketing campaign for this movie has been astonishingly good, right? If you walked into this movie and you knew nothing of what I just said, what would you think this movie is? You would think that this movie was probably something like the Disney movie Enchanted, but with Barbie.
Okay, I've never seen Enchanted, and it's kind of weird to me that he's seen all of these kids' movies, and whatever. You know, I'm not here to judge.
It's going to be Barbie in Barbie Land, and then it's going to be Barbie in the real world, and it's going to be charming, and it's going to be funny, and it's going to be warm-hearted, and it's not going to be vicious and cynical, and it's not going to be what morons talk about at Hollywood cocktail parties. It's just going to be fun. It's going to be a place where a mom might be able to take her 7-year-old or 8-year-old girl.
No, that's not what you should be expecting. It's PG-13. People should be looking at ratings and understanding it's not intended for 7-year-old kids.
And enjoy themselves together, and then walk out with their arms around each other. You might think that's what it was going to be.
No, I wouldn't, because I'd look at the rating before I walked into a movie with a kid.
And undoubtedly, millions of moms and their daughters will think that. That's what you're seeing at the theaters. That's why you're seeing everybody wearing pink to the theaters. It's become like a Star Wars kind of thing, right? It's an actual cosplay of it. The number of moms who are going to take their daughters back to the theater week 2, good luck with that.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think that lots and lots and lots of people are going to enjoy it. And by the way, this is week 2. We're in week 2 technically, maybe even week 3. Alexa, when did the Barbie movie release? Okay, it was released July 21st, 2023. It's right now, as of this filming, August 2nd, 2023. And this video from Ben released 1 week ago. So Ben's talking about right now. Good luck with how this week goes, this past week that we just saw. Good luck with it. Well, let's find out. Top box office movies this week. Barbie, how about that? Number 1, Barbie. Wow. This week, Barbie is number 1. 93 million this weekend, or this past weekend. It grossed 93 million this past weekend. Oppenheimer was number 2 with 47 million this past weekend. So how about that? Turns out it did do well in its second week. Ben's prediction was piss poor all along, but he probably knew it was going to be piss poor. He probably knew that he's completely full of it, and he's looking for a reason to hate something that everybody loved. Okay.
That's why you're seeing everybody wearing pink to the theaters. It's become like a Star Wars kind of thing, right? It's an actual cosplay of it. The number of moms who are going to take their daughters back to the theater week 2, good luck with that.
Yeah, you were just wrong about that.
Really, good luck with that. Hollywood decided to empty out its own IP here. They decided they were going to take a golden piece of IP and they were just going to smash it and turn it into Weird Barbie.
No, it made a ton of money.
And I got to tell you, and this is going to have some ramifications for Barbie, the brand. I don't know why Barbie, the brand, would hand this property over to people who clearly hate the property.
They did a fantastic job with it, and it made a ton of money, so it was a huge hit.
Real world, the patriarchy rules. Men are really bad. Women need to separate off from men and hate men in order to be unblinded to the patriarchy, and then they can overthrow the patriarchy and create paradise.
That is not the message that was being delivered. That is not a message that people on the left even believe. This whole thing is completely fabricated because Ben Shapiro lives in a fantasy land, always has. Please, Ben, get a life and stop being so angry about stupid shit. You know, he's always talking about how angry the left is. I'm not angry about anything. I just want to see a little bit more equality in the world. Let's get more equality. That's all I'm looking for, baby. Ben Shapiro is so pissed off about the stupidest shit. Move on with your life, Ben. Really? Is this all you have to think or talk about? Some silly movie that was intended to be funny? This is all you think about? You got to get a life, man. For real. And don't tell me your producers dragged you to this. You went dressed as Ken, okay?
That is the thesis of the film. last comment. Whenever I do film reviews like this, lengthy film reviews of movies like this, the left is always like, why are you taking this so seriously? How dare you take this so seriously? Well, because this is a movie where hundreds of millions of dollars.
Well, look, there are some things that it's totally justified to take seriously. And there were some things that were just funny jokes. He took the jokes seriously. That was really the problem. If there's a corrosive message to a movie, I am all for calling it out. Hell, even if it's on my side, even if it's a feminist message that was done really, really poorly and it's extremely corrosive. If the message of a movie really was men and women should live separately from each other and men are terrible and women are great and it was like a superiority thing, I'd call that out. That's bad. I'm not in favor of that. I want equality. That's not what's happening here. That is what Ben is trying to portray it as.
Will be expended to get people to watch it. It has a heavily political message.
He has a dream house behind him. Is that real? Is that what we're looking at right now? I honestly believe that Ben Shapiro is a huge Barbie fan. Maybe I'm wrong. It's just how I've read it so far.
It is explicitly designed to divide men from women. It has these negative messages directed at kids. It is supposed to be a kids movie. It's rated PG-13. It is not marketed to PG-13. It is marketed to PG.
Okay, I don't think that's true, but I don't know what makes him think it's marketed to PG. It is a PG-13 film, and parents should be. What happened to that personal responsibility stuff? You remember all that, Ben? Parents should be checking ratings before bringing their children to a movie, period. Like, that should be obvious. I can't believe that I'm even, saying that right now. Parents should check ratings before bringing their kids to movies.
It is marketed to moms who are going to skip the PG-13 rating and bring their daughters there anyway. It's a culturally relevant moment, a very culturally relevant moment. And so the entire left's attempts to play the face tattoo syndrome, watch as we take a piece of children's IP and wear its skin around like a mask, like Hannibal Lecter, and we notice it, and then they're like, you noticed it? You're obviously very upset.
What the hell is he talking about right now? I've heard Ben Shapiro bring up this face tattoo syndrome thing before. The idea is somebody gets a tattoo on their face and then complains when somebody points it out. And he applies it to, other situations. I don't even know. I'm trying to think of an example in which he... Well, anyways, he talks about face tattoo syndrome all the time, and I don't know how that applies to this specific situation, but okay.
I find it upsetting when material that is based on children's IP, marketed to little girls, actually ends up being angry feminist claptrap that alienates men.
It was not angry feminist. I don't know what claptrap is. I've never heard that term before, really, so that's not what this was. Ben is just angry. That's it. That's what it boils down to. Ben is just mad that this movie did really well, and it was a pro-woman message. It was a positive message for women. That really upset the dude, apparently. Okay.
Men from women, undermines basic human values, and promotes falsehood all at the same time.
It undermines basic human values, promotes falsehood? What?
And I think a lot of people are going to have a right to be mad. So we'll see what the income trajectory of this film is. By the way,
you have a right to be mad about this movie? You're mad? Not that you just didn't like the movie, but you're actively, actually angry about this movie. Really? Ben, get a life, bro. Seriously, this is insane, okay? This has gone too far. I am drawing a line now. Get a life, Ben.
it's just going to die in China. The overseas market for this film, good luck with the Chinese Communist government putting...
Yeah, I have no idea how the Chinese... Like, from my understanding, the Chinese government accepts a certain number of films every year from the Western worlds. I think it just kind of depends on which one it is or whatever. Like, I think they accepted Star Wars, and then they, open it up to their markets. Chinese fans praise Barbie as rare feminism on screen. Barbie has earned close to 86 million yuan, about $11.9 million in China since its release on Friday. According to Chinese ticket selling platform Maoyan, I know I'm pronouncing it wrong, I apologize, putting it in third place in all movies nationwide. Interesting. Wow, that's really impressive, actually. Disney did a movie. Disney did Mulan and tried to make it appeal to a Chinese audience intentionally, and it fell flat, completely flat. So the fact that Barbie is performing really, really well in China also is pretty impressive. 25 million in China, according to Hollywood Reporter. Okay, that may have been outdated what I was reading, but apparently it's doing really well in China. Interesting. I had no idea. So what was that, Ben? I'm sorry, I forgot what he said. Let's just listen one more time because I missed it.
And I think a lot of people are going to have a right to be mad. So we'll see what the income trajectory of this film is. By the way, it's just going to die in China. The overseas...
Just going to die in China. Just going to die. Absolutely, yes. Just going to die in China.
Market for this film. Good luck with the Chinese Communist government.
I know. The Chinese Communist government's just going to hate this, right?
Putting their kids in front of this sort of stuff. It is not going to happen. Final rating. Out of 10 Barbies. How many Barbies? 10 out of 10 being good. The answer is negative all the Barbies. Negative all of them. I honestly...
Again, it got 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. Truthfully, again, I'm sorry, guys. I fucking hated Hamilton. I thought Hamilton is the biggest piece of trash I've ever seen in my entire life, the Broadway play. I don't know how the hell it got off of Broadway. And matter of fact, this is how it works. You've got off-Broadway plays. They're smaller plays, smaller productions, less famous actors, stuff like that. And they all operate off of different, and they all operate in different areas of Manhattan or hell, even operate in Queens or Brooklyn, other boroughs, whatever. And the off-Broadway plays, the biggest dream of any off-Broadway play is to make it to Broadway, to 8th Avenue. They're trying to get, a big sign that says The Lion King on Broadway or Hamilton on Broadway or whatever. Hamilton started on off-Broadway. It started in Manhattan off-Broadway as one of those plays. I don't know how it even got there, to be honest. That's how badly Hamilton sucked. Hamilton, as a musical, is an embarrassment to everything, literally everything. It gets negative Hamiltons, in my opinion. In my opinion. It should not even exist as a play. Certainly not on Broadway. Barbie, on the other hand, seems pretty popular to me and seems pretty funny. And it had some really, really good plot twists and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I think Ben is just a little pissed off over nothing. I'm not like an evangelist for how much I hate Hamilton. I just fucking hate Hamilton. I just really don't like it. I think it's the absolute worst. So, anyway, sorry guys. I had to go off on my anti-Hamilton arc for a minute. It's just bad, okay? Hamilton is just bad. It's an embarrassment. Everything about it is an embarrassment. Your mom on Broadway. You might be correct. No, you're not correct. Okay. Oh, God. Ben Shapiro is ridiculous. You know what? At the beginning of this, I don't know if you saw part 1 or what, but he said he was going to review Barbie and Oppenheimer. What happened? What happened to those two things? I thought you were going to review them both in this video. No, he just focused in on Barbie. Like, my God, man.
Honestly, just as a piece of film, this sucker goes in like my bottom 10 ever. Ever. It is that bad. Not just because of the politics. Because the
No, it was entirely because of the politics. It was a very funny movie, as far as I could tell. The clips that I saw were hilarious. Just the clips that he showed me in this video were very, very funny. And clever. And the plot line, from what I can tell, is very clever, very intelligent, well done. It was not a bad film. It was actually a very good film. Hamilton was garbage.
10 ever. Ever. It is that bad. Not just because of the politics, because the plot makes no sense, because the writing makes no sense, because the acting half the time makes no sense.
No, the actors are very famous and did a really good job as far as I could tell. The plot made perfect sense. Everything made perfect sense. You just don't know how to write, apparently. You don't know how to write scripts, which is what he originally wanted to do. So that checks out that he's a political commentator instead.
The entire film is a dog's vomit. It is a dog's breakfast of film. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with negative infinity Barbies. It is that bad. If 10 out of 10 Barbies is like the stereotypical Barbie, this is Barbie head atop the robot body made by the weird kid from Toy Story 1. That's what this is. And also, by the way, Oppenheimer's good.
So there was his review of Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer's good. That tells me Oppenheimer probably sucked. I don't trust literally anything out of this dude's mouth. Literally nothing. So, I don't know. I mean, hell, maybe Oppenheimer was good. Who knows? That was just bad, man. That whole review was an embarrassment. Ben Shapiro is simply an embarrassment. I wish that I had seen the Barbie movie first, but you guys really wanted to see his reviewed, so there you go. It was just like obnoxious. And you could tell when he was taking something in bad faith. He was blatantly, obviously misunderstanding, misrepresenting, or just not getting subtleties that were obvious the entire time. Harvard Law School graduate, Ben Shapiro, apparently didn't understand the subtleties of the Barbie movie. That's impressive. Anyway, let me know what you think about it in the comments. I think Ben Shapiro is just terrible. Absolutely terrible. And I don't think he's an honest actor at all. I think he knows exactly what he's doing.